Hello everybody, this is History About War and it's not going to be long. Alright, World War II was a war after the First War. The Second World War was really large. They had a lot of battles like Battle of the Bulge and D-Day, all that stuff. And there's Germans, Japanese, British, and USA in it. And they had tanks for sure. You probably have some war toys, because I have a lot. I have World War II, Civil War, and I have Desert Storm toys. Yeah. And, it's a really large war. My great-grandpa was in it, and my great-great-great-great-grandpa was in World War I. And I always thought of World War I where the Russians were the bad guys, but it was like this. Part 1, World War I, German, and then Part 2, World War II, fight Germans. I know. That's success of my history. Somebody told me that, but now let's go on to Civil War. Alright, so the Civil War was the war after Revolution War. You might have heard about Revolution War. The Civil War is a war. The Confederates had to march with no cover, and the Union kept shooting at them, and they won. And Gettysburg, oh, I've heard of that war before. Gettysburg is a type of battle of the Civil War. And there's no other battles as Gettysburg. And they had a lot of fences in there. And they had cannons for sure. And the smoke of cannons. And that's how the Civil War is. And the generals of the Civil War was General Lee, and the Union was General Grant. And Grant was a great guy, and Lee was a bad guy. I do not like Lee because Confederate slave people. Oh my gosh, that's horrible. Now let's move on to Revolution War. Alright, so Revolution War is where we fought the British. Well, it was a little same as the Civil War, but not that much. Well, at first when the war began, we had to stand with no cover. Oh my gosh, why do they have to do that? That's ridiculous. I bet you they got killed a lot because they had no cover. But then they got the plan, but then they did. They sneaked up by trees while the British was marching and shot them. And the British didn't even notice them. And here's the Afghanistan War. The Afghanistan War was larger than you think. There's a lot of Predator drones, and if you have a toy like that, you'll see that by the part of it. It's called the camera. The camera watches the bad guys. And I have a toy like that, but it's in my small army men because I pretend it's a jet. And I have a large collection of army men. So the Afghanistan War is a really long word for that war. Afghanistan, oh boy, I can't spell that because I don't know how. And I mean, I do not know how. And they had assault sniper rifles, and I'm pretty sure they had the bestest grenades than every other type of war. And I don't know who were the bad guys in it. I just know the good guys were the USA in it. So, now we are moving on to World War One. World War One is the exact same of World War Two, and they had the same stuff. And the Russians were not in it because World War One was the firstest world war in the whole entire Earth. And they had tanks, but they did a little bad things in it. Well, World War II was way better than you think than World War One. But First World War is part 1. And that 1 is like a straight line. And the 2 looks like 2 lines. And that's crazy. And World War II and 1 did a little smoking, and that's it. And have you ever heard of a war that just had swords and that's it? They fought with swords? Are you kidding me? No guns? Well, it's just how it is back then in the old-fashioned times. And they didn't have tanks. And here's a fact about Germany. The biggest city in Germany is Berlin. And Berlin, I don't know how to say that. I think it's Berlin, but I think it's Berlin. No, definitely not. Because you take away that R and there you go. Beeland. Beeland? Are you kidding me? What does that even mean? And that's about history about wars. Goodbye, everybody. Don't forget to have a wonderful day.